The San Jose Sharks make it official as Ryan Warsofsky is introduced as the 11th head coach in Sharks franchise history. I'm here with Jules, who was at the press conference. We'll break down her thoughts right now on Teal Town Live. And if you want to be part of the show, chat with us and fellow Sharks fans all over the world and in Sharks territory right now on the YouTube page or the app. If you're watching this on a replay, make sure you hit that comment button and make your comments about what you thought of produced today. Also, follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, you love it. Of course, you know where to find us at tealtownusa.com. And you can support the pod by hitting us up in Venmo at Teal Town USA or in a super chat right below your screen as you're watching this live. All right, with that, I bring in Jules along with myself. Jules, first off, looking very fancy for your first presser, I must say. I'm
I tried.
You, my friend.
That there were definitely some awkward moments there, but it was fun. It was fun.
Yep. The first text you sent me was you're really pumped. You think he's going to lead this to the cup.
I mean, the dude just cares about winning. Like, I don't know if y'all saw that begin. Like, the dude cares so deeply about this team, and I, to be honest, don't think we've had a coach like that before. Like, he just cares for winning. He cares about developing these young players. Greer was on a comedy skit today, it feels like. Yeah, no, the dude just wants this team to win. So I love it.
Yeah. But he was very emotional once Becker and Greer introduced himself, had some opening remarks, but you can tell this meant a lot to him.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. Like, he cares a lot about this team. It feels like he cares about the young players on this team. He cares about where this team's going to end up. And again, like Greer said, this doesn't feel like a hire where he's going to get fired in like 3 years. Like, he's going to let him grow with the team. And I think he's the perfect coach for that.
Yeah. And we've kind of gone over the accolades for him, but we'll kind of do it again. You weren't from a Division III hockey program to becoming a AHL assistant coach. Had some success with the South Carolina Stingrays, where he became head coach and was director of hockey ops. Then he went to the Charlotte Checkers, where he won a Calder Cup there as an assistant. And it didn't hit me until I think Greer mentioned it, that he had two teams he was developing in a sense, or two sets of players in Chicago where they won the Calder Cup. I mean, he just seems like it was just due. It was a matter of time of getting this job. And, even though I think a lot of us expected it to be Marco Sturm, and we heard a lot about that.
Which apparently he wasn't a finalist.
Yeah, apparently.
So there's that for you guys.
But I mean, again, I think just his progression and his age. I thought he was the youngest coach in Sharks history, but
he is.
But Kevin Constantine apparently
no, I think he is. He is the youngest because Constantino was 1 year older than.
I thought they had said 35, but
I don't know. I mean, someone tell us we're wrong in the comments.
Yes. But I mean, it is definitely welcome age, and he was definitely thinking that his age will play a role in developing these kids, and especially with all these kids at the same time.
Yeah. He's going to help develop Celebrini. I think he's going to be a really good coach for Smith. My concern with Smith is just like that defensive lack of awareness sometimes, but I think he's going to be a guy that instead of benching him for the whole game, he's going to say, hey, go try this again, but maybe don't do this or this. Like, go harder on your back checks, whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he's not going to bench that's my figure. He's not going to get benched. Like, he's not going to bench these kids for one mistake. And he had some pretty high praise for Mukama Doolin after the presser when talking to other people. But yeah.
And I remember Henry Thrun was on ABC 7 after.
He also had high praise for Henry Thrun. Speaking of him,
Right, and it was kind of like mutual respect of that of sorts. So, Ian is about to join us here. I'll say hello to you, good sir.
Ian.
How was what did you see from that presser, and what did you think of it all?
I mean, it's fine. It's pretty standard fare for these things, but I liked a lot of his answers. I think I've obviously been a big hire of this coaching hire for the San Jose Sharks. He was definitely a guy that I wanted the Sharks to keep around in some way, shape, or form. So I'm super happy that he was the hire, and I liked a lot of his answers. I think he gave a lot of interesting answers as far as, he didn't really get too into the weeds, obviously, but I feel like any questions he was asked, I liked his answers.
Yeah, I like the idea of a fun team, not just like we're gonna lose like 10-1 and we're gonna like. It sounds like he has an actual system in place for the defense to help the defense because he knows what he's working with. So that was nice to hear.
Yeah, and he wasn't like, well, we'll play the 1-3-1 and everything will be fine.
Yeah,
it won't be pretty, but we'll win some. I'm glad
yeah,
that because I think in a lot of coaches in this situation, that's kind of their go-to, right? Is like, if you want to have a successful team in a situation where the Sharks are, well, it's time to pull out the 1-3-1 and just grind out those 2-1 victories and make sure that nobody's awake when it's over.
Yeah,
right, and that's the big one of having a young, exciting team, having a team that's gonna be with speed, skill. I mean, he kind of won me over today with his comments. I mean, granted, you're not going to share. Oh, this is how we're going to run it because you don't
This
all
is,
your cards.
When the defense comes in the zone, this is exactly how we're going to play that.
Yeah, no, right. I think Mike Greer made a joke about Bill Belichick. Like,
yes,
he was giving, yeah. Again, Mike Greer was on a comedy role today. Jesus, Greer. But yeah, no, I really liked what I saw from him, and like, I don't know, I have a good feeling about him.
Yeah, and you are behind Logan's banner outside the Shark Tank.
Yep.
That was a very interesting truth bomb he put out.
He didn't mention Ferraro, though. That's all I'm going to say.
but he basically said they're not trading their team captain away, despite some people saying that he is. I mean, surprised? Not surprised?
Not surprised.
No, I think like Mike Greer... So Mike Greer, I like the way Mike Greer does business because obviously, like, I think there's like a certain extent. I think people are like, oh man, he put Sheng in his place, but I don't think even if that report was true and maybe it did come down. Like, I don't think Mike Greer is the type of guy who's gonna come out and say, yeah, that's exactly what happened. You're right. He was the runner up, and he didn't get the job. Sucks to be him. Whatever, right? Like Mike Greer's never gonna do that. Right. But I mean, I think you should find somebody who loves you as much as the hockey world in general likes to dunk on Pagnotta. Because I think Pagnotta's been the only guy where I've seen the Couture stuff really start heating up again. I feel like that has been Pagnotta. Maybe I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, someone let me know and tell me I'm an asshole. But Pagnotta seems to be like that's the big source, and it feels like every time like he comes out with stuff, and I feel like as far as like the insiders go, like I always think I've always kind of looked at Pagnotta as like the insider aggregator. I don't think like most of the stuff that he comes up with himself, usually it's way off base. Like I feel like his hit rate is probably worse than Sarah Valley's, and that's pretty bad, right? So I don't know.
Let's not forget, Kevin LeBanc was being waived before the season began. So
that little. I do want to give.
We all have those moments. Go ahead.
I do want to give Greer credit. I've never seen a GM be so upfront about the first overall pick in my life. Like
in this draft, though, like it isn't that like.
Yeah. But like Connor Bedard, for example, like the Blackhawks didn't go out and basically say, "Oh yeah, we're drafting Connor like 18 times," and like hinted at it on all their social medias. Like there was a question today where he was asked about Macklin, and he basically just straight up said, "Yeah, we're drafting Macklin, and his development will figure it out."
I
Like,
think
I just haven't seen this before.
Right.
That's true. But I feel like with Celebrini, like it makes a ton of sense though because of the local ties when he played for the junior Sharks.
I see your point. I see your point.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Unless if like Connor Bedard like moonlighted for the Chicago Steel that I'm unaware of, then I don't know his right. Like I don't know his. I think it's a different situation.
And it would be a massive stunner. I know we've joked about it in our Discord. I know we talked about it on here on occasion. Like, oh, you know, what happens if they don't draft Macklin Celebrini? Maybe they want to go with Z William, and all that. It's going to happen.
And those people did not watch our draft show because if they watched our draft show, they would know.
We had 3 consensus picks, and what Macklin was
picks, and number 1 was the consensus. Not only among our panel who have done their homework. And again, if you want to go watch that, it's on this channel somewhere. Just go back through the history, you'll find the video.
Absolutely.
That being said, like it's the one consensus like across the board for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody has anyone but Macklin Celebrini as their number 1 pick, be it elite prospects, be it Craig Button, be it Bob McKenzie, be it, all those guys. Like I'm sure Pronman has them there too. So
I'm waiting for the mock draft that has like the Sharks taking Ivan Demidov or something.
Right. I mean, it'd be crazy for them not to do it. So I get it. I mean, it's consensus number 1 overall. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I think we've heard so many people have so many options of going, what's going to happen between 2 and 15? So
it's a dart shoot. Like you just don't know with this draft.
Right. And so it is interesting. I love how Ruben says, Celebrini re-enters the draft,
Imagine 2025, baby.
Oh boy. He's hoping.
Sorry, Eklund, we don't have a friend for you just quite yet.
Yeah, no.
I only want to see that just to see if a guy would go first overall in 2 drafts. Without even knowing like just for the history. I'm re-entering the draft just to make history and
Gotcha.
Go first overall in 2.
Oh Lord!
I mean, obviously that's not going to happen. I just like
you heard it here, folks, guys. Ian Reid says Macklin Celebrini doesn't want to come to the Sharks.
Yes, that's right.
I'm not even going to start that because I don't want to do it. I know. Ruben,
it's okay. They already are starting that.
Right, Ruben. I know you texted me earlier that you're fired up for it. Have you guys gotten the same hype? Ian, I'll ask you. I know I just talked to Jules before you came on about it, but the hype factor of sorts for Warsofsky. I mean, definitely, like you said, definitely has all the right answers, and seems like he's going to be a relationship-based coach, as he mentioned.
Yeah, I think when we did our show after Warsofsky was hired, I said the reason that I liked Ryan Warsofsky is not only is he a guy who's won basically everywhere he's went, he's been under the learning tree of some really good coaches who are also very successful in the NHL now, but he's a modern coach, right? Like he knows how to deal with today's player, and I think that is something that is harder and harder to find in coaches right now. I think you'll see some other coaches where if you look at like a Mike Babcock, for example, right, a guy who just can't work with modern players anymore, and some people will decry that and be like, oh well, these modern players are a bunch of babies and blah blah blah, but guess what, they're the ones that make all the money, they're the ones that are going to be on the team forever. Like you bring in a guy like Macklin Celebrini, right? Like Macklin Celebrini is going to be on this team for a long time if the Sharks do their job properly, right? Like
right.
He's going to be one of those guys that probably is on this team for a long time. If you can't coach that player, guess who's leaving? It's not going to be Macklin Celebrini. It's not going to be Will Smith. It's probably going to be you. So I think that, and so from that perspective, I think Ryan Warsofsky is a great hire. From that, and I mean I'm excited. Like I'm still like cautiously optimistic going into the season. Like I think the Sharks will be better, but I'm not
they're not winning the cup
parade routes. I'm not even I don't even think playoffs, right? Like I'm excited because actually now it's not the race to the bottom anymore. And again, I'm not saying that the Sharks are going to be super awesome. And I know they asked a question in the press conference to Jonathan Becker about spending money. And I don't think that after getting rid of all these contracts that you offloaded, now's the time to go replace them with just other dumb contracts just to spend to the cap and make people happy. It's exciting because it's not a race to the bottom anymore. Like we're going to start being on the other side. We're going to start looking forward to things again instead of, well, this season, I'm excited that we can talk about Will Smith being a pro and Macklin Celebrini being a pro instead of talking about the draft in October, right? Like we have things to talk about in October that aren't the draft. And I think that's, from my perspective, exciting.
Excuse me.
Yes, finally.
Right.
You don't have to go hoping Luca Cagnoni is scoring a hat trick night in and night out. Like,
yeah, like
Jesus Christ.
So I mean, like I'm definitely excited from that perspective that, we're coming out of it. But there's still a road. Like, and I don't think that they should try to shorten that road by spending a bunch of money in free agency this summer. Like, if you can find a guy that you think fits in the long-term plan, great, bring him in, pay him the money. But like, we don't need to go and like just bring guys in, right? Like, I don't want to see them just like bring a bunch of guys in just so we can say, look, we're spending money, come buy more tickets.
I will say this, Greer, when asked about the prospect pool, I loved his answer. He was like, we're still building it. Like, it doesn't sound like he's planning on rushing this at all.
Right.
They're going to take the time they need to develop these kids. Like, they're 18 and 19-year-old kids. Like, Jesus Christ, we can calm down a bit. But yeah, so it sounds like they're going to take their time. I think Warsofsky's a good development coach for that.
Yeah, because again, he's a guy that's won, like, he's coached in other development programs and he's won championships doing that.
And if the Sharks pull what Spencer Carberry did to the Washington Capitals, well, we can all be wrong.
Would I be like, again, like if the Sharks went on the tear and made the playoffs this year, would I be upset about it? No, I'm not going to be sitting here going, they've ruined everything. Like, obviously playoff hockey is playoff hockey. I would like to watch playoff hockey and have like a real like rooting interest other than, well, I guess I'm going to bandwagon the Cats again.
Cats go meow meow. Sorry, I had to.
But getting back to Logan, I mean, the team does need to spend $12 million just to get to the cap floor.
15 million.
Or $15 million. You look at $12.5 million that's currently on IR with Logan, Vitek Vanacek, and Matthew.
Yeah, but none of those guys are on the LTIR, so they all count.
Right. So it's a tough part to have because they look like they'll need to spend some money or take on some bad contracts.
Well, they're going to spend some money, right? Like, but you look
they
at
have to.
I mean, look at now I have to bring up Cap Friendly. Well, we still have.
They have to insulate these kids somehow.
They do have to insulate these kids, but they also have like business to do as well, right?
Yeah.
Like there's business to do. Like this forward group is
there's 9 of them.
Right? like they need to take care of some business here. Like, obviously I think there's a bunch of guys that they're probably going to let go, right? But they're going to re-sign Luke Kuhn, and that's probably 2-3 million there, right? Thomas Bordeleau needs a new deal. I think he gets a new deal. On the blue line, Henry Thrun's probably going to get a new deal. They're probably going to give Ty Emberson a new deal. So, I mean, there's business that they have to do where they're going to have to obviously inch back closer to the floor. And I think they're going to be able to get to the floor taking care of just the business they have to take care of. Because again, this forward group is pretty thin as far as guys signed for next year. So maybe do they bring back Philip Zadina? I don't know. Do they bring back Jack Studnicka? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would bring back either, but they're restricted free agents. So the Sharks could bring them back if they're so inclined. So I think there's business there that they can do to help them get to the floor. But obviously, like Jules said, they have to bring in players that are going to insulate.
Do I think Celebrini and Eklund will be good line mates? Sure, but give me someone else on that line who can help those kids when shit gets tough and you're like losing.
Throw them all on the same line to be completely.
That's just an example.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily. I think honestly, in my opinion, I think that's what the Sharks do, and they give them a veteran because I think those two are going to be your future. They just work together well. But no, I mean, they need like a guy like I've been saying the same a lot. Teravainen is a guy that I really want the Sharks to hopefully get if it's a team friendly deal. Sean Walker on defense because that defense needs something.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just bring in some vets, right? Like a guy
Yeah.
who I circle back to is a guy like David Perron. If you can pull him out of Detroit, because I mean, he's in Detroit doing the exact same thing right now, right? He's a veteran player who's kind of there to help, insulate some of the younger players, be a pro, be a good example, stuff like that. So a guy like David Perron would be a guy that I'd love the Sharks to bring in.
Because they're gonna have like two like under 18-year-old centers. Like, let's not throw them to the wolves, please. That's not gonna end well.
Right.
Yeah.
And AJ in here chatting. I want to see the Sharks back up a Brinks Trek to Marchessault.
Honestly, give him like I don't know, 2-year deal for a bunch of money.
I can't just because of where Marchessault is in his career. Like he's already 33, if I'm recalling correctly, right? So like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like if they sign Marchessault, would I be upset? No, of course not. I can't imagine him like the former.
It depends what deal.
There's a contender that's gonna pay him.
But like the thing is he looking for a payday or is he looking to win the cup again? Like that's my thought. Like if you're looking for a payday, you're looking at San Jose.
Do both. I think he can still make a decent amount of money.
I guess you're right. GMs are dumb enough for that.
Oh yeah, no, look, he's a Conn Smythe. He's a Conn Smythe winner, and he was, and again, like in Vegas's series in their 7-game loss to Dallas, he was one of their best players. In that loss. I mean, I would like it, but I realistically, I feel like a contender is going to scoop him up and pay him as well.
Yeah. Jordan Martinook's also a good one. And Stefan Nason might see a reunion because I know Warsofsky coached him when on the AHL with the, oh my God, what's the name?
Charlotte and Chicago.
Chicago, yeah. So.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely that. Nason would be a nice touch. We've seen his work, a few years ago. Definitely has picked up his scoring touch. That would be a nice pickup. Luke Cunnin, could we convince Sophia to join him as well on the team? I mean, it'd be nice. Although she just retired today officially.
She did just retire
from PWHL Minnesota. Fanatical Teal leader. If we got the face of the Knights like that, I'd feel better about Hurdle gone there.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to shit on the idea of bringing in Jonathan Marchessault. I just think that I just don't think it's realistic.
The timing is kind of off there,
and the timing doesn't make sense either.
Right.
Like if you're,
as much as I like the player, I just don't think the timing makes sense because again, I don't think this team is going to go on a tear and be a playoff team. Like I'm not trying to shit on the idea. I think it's a good idea. I just don't see why he would come here at this point in his career.
And the other thing too is that you have a third of the league that's under the floor right now, with Utah at 20 million under, Anaheim at 10, Chicago at 9, and Detroit at 6. I mean, yes, the Sharks have the second most cap space they need to use, but is it the desirable item or desirable destination? So
I think it depends on where you are in your career, right? Like I think for a guy like Teravainen, it makes a lot of sense. He's like 27, 28.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that makes a lot more sense because I think you're coming into a guy who's coming into his first free agency or maybe his second. I feel like his first free agency. I think he's 27. So I think he's the guy that comes in and he's not going to be like over the hill when this team is good, right?
Yeah.
I think guys like that make sense. I just think a guy like Marchessault, who's going to demand a big paycheck as well, like just it doesn't make a lot of sense for where we're at.
Yep.
Yeah, looks like it's his third contract that he's had. Was
it always with Carolina?
He first with Chicago.
That's what it was. Okay.
And then he had his like a 2-year deal with Carolina. Then he signed his big one for about just a little under $5.5 million that expired at July 1st. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Obviously, the Sharks have to be a spender on free agent frenzy. But I don't think they need to get stupid crazy like some.
No, like they don't need, like you don't need to just like we just spent like the last 2 years getting rid of
right
contracts. We don't need to just go and replace them now with just different bad contracts, because like you look at the free agency class, it's not super fantastic. Like there's some guys in there that are definitely, that definitely would perk my interest, but I don't think it's a go crazy and spend all the money just to spend all the money.
AJ saying bring back the Pavs culture. I mean, I get that, but good luck trying to convince him from retiring. Teravine will be 30 in September. Thank you, Skylar.
Yeah, there you go. Right? Even still, like it's still, that's not super old. Yeah. So like,
but overall,
if only there was like this thing connected to my computer called the internet where I could go and fact check anything, the dumb things that I say on this show.
Oh boy, we'll
oh god, here we go.
So we'll wrap things up, because I'm sure one, Jules's arm is getting tired for holding up her phone, and two, I'm waiting for like AJ to just drive by to give you your Eklund straw hat.
Oh no, yeah, seriously, Adrian, where are you?
Which seriously, let's be honest, we will need for the red carpet when we're in Vegas next Friday.
Yes, so. We will be in Vegas.
Yes.
So there's that.
We'll be all over the place. Vegas, San Jose, Sault Ste. Marie, New York, you name it, covering this draft next Friday. So make sure you hit that subscribe button down below.
Guy and I are going to die in the 120 heat. So there's that for you guys.
You're the one who wants to sweat and see Celebrini, but okay, I digress.
Kesslering for the D from Utah. That's interesting. I guess I just don't know where the room is on the blue line. I mean, and again, looking at the blue line right now, I just don't see room for anybody. But obviously,
send
you can
Kyle
move
Burrows
people.
To the moon.
We could send him to the moon or the Barracuda, which are basically the same thing.
It's the same thing, Ian.
At this point, the way that
I'm shocked there wasn't any CUDA questions. I'm shocked that kind of wasn't asked, but yeah.
Maybe at
pre-draft is my thought. The pre-draft one.
Pre-draft one, or at the prospect scrimmage on the 4th of July.
Someone's got to ask that. If not, I'll ask that, because Jesus Christ, I need help.
So, but final thoughts as we wrap up, gang. I mean, you feel confident about this hire? I mean, obviously nothing playoff-wise or anything like that, but overall, this looks like it's the step in the right direction with this prospect pool coming up.
I'm gonna steal Ian's line: when the Sharks do good, it's good.
Motherfucker.
Sorry, Ian, but that was the only thing that came to my mind, and I gave you credit. I mean,
it's but it's true. I mean, it probably is the best way to sum it up. If only I would have thought of that.
We still need to get those greeting cards. You sent that to me.
Yeah,
Ian,
no, literally.
I feel like that needs to become a thing. So
so I just want to hit a couple of things AJ's saying in the chat here quick. Warsofsky saying that Vitek Vanacek is progressing and getting healthy, which is obviously good. I think the Sharks goaltending was decent.
Also, he apparently coached him in the ECHL, Vanacek, when he was like 18 years old. So he's worked with Vanacek from like when he was basically a kid. So there's another fun fact.
And then they're also AJ also saying that Warsofsky said he'll soon begin talking with his assistant coaches. He wants to bring Thomas Spear back, given him how well he worked with Mackenzie Blackwood, which I think is obviously super important. I think that's the one thing that the Sharks can kind of hang their hat on this year, was the goaltending was for the most part fine. For the first time in a long time. So it'll be interesting to see who he brings as coaches, who he brings in as assistant coaches. But like overall, though, I think the Sharks are moving in the right direction.
Which is a well-needed thing, and it seems like getting that first pick really helped ticket sales and everything, and the draft party is expected to be a potential sellout.
Over 12,000. Yeah.
And business.
Becker was very proud of that. So there you go.
But
I mean, when the Sharks do good, it's good.
God damn it, Ian! You stole it. I'm joking.
So for Ian and for Jules, I'm Eric. Thanks for watching us. We'll be back with you in the very near future, potentially after a Stanley Cup championship has been presented. So, in case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, Odyssey, you name it, you love it. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe, but don't forget the notification bell. That let you know when we go on the air, when breaking news happens. Always available at tealtownusa.com because somebody renewed the server. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Ian, thank you very much. Jules, your first presser, how did it feel?
It felt good. Again, awkward moments, but it felt good. It was fun. SAP Center. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yes. Many more to come in your career, I hope, down the road.
I have to comment for AJ. Says AJ's like, the bar's pretty low. When you're at the bottom, there's nowhere to go. Ask the Columbus Blue Jackets about that.
I'm
actually, that is...
Ask the Columbus Blue Jackets about that.
Yeah, I'm not. I feel bad for their coach right now.
2 coaches fired in 1 year. Yikes. Good luck, Don Waddell, and everything. So, on that. So, all right, we are out of here. Thanks for watching us, and we appreciate you watching us. And tell a friend.
Tell 2 friends.
Or
tell your enemies if you hated it.
That's
tell your enemies.
Yes.
Yeah, if you hated it, tell your enemies.
Until then, Teal together, everyone.